Today, I want to cover the top five regions in the world where we are seeing the most promising amount of activities around stablecoin
Mm-hmm.
acceptations, issuance, and adoption. Obviously, because let's accept it. Obviously, the regions that we want to cover, which are Latin America, Central America, Developing Asia, MENA region, and
MENA,
Eastern
yeah.
Europe. So these are the regions that feel the severe need for stablecoin adoptions and as early as possible. Because obviously, two reasons. One is they do not have a sufficiently developed banking or financial infrastructure where they can easily access, let's say, cross-country
Yeah.
transactions, or just their currency is not strong enough to fend off inflation. Like most of these countries are suffering from a high to severe inflation rates, starting
Right.
from anywhere between 5 to 6% to some countries even going 30 to 40% in periodic events. So these countries are they are in desperate need of an infrastructure like stablecoins and infrastructures like tokenizations where they can use the blockchain to circumnavigate all of this economic issues that they are suffering
Mm-hmm.
from, right? So and obviously the result so far has been staggeringly optimistic.
Yeah.
The success they have had, these regions have had. So I wanted to cover like every single regions one by one, and what countries in these specific regions are doing, and why we should be bullish on the overall
Mm-hmm.
economic adoption of stable coins and tokenizations, by not only by the people but also the institutions, financial institutions of these countries. So let's start with Latin America. One of the most, like, this is the region that I am most optimistic about in terms of their adoption of stable coins, and like this is
Why is that?
going to yeah, sure, let's get into it. And yeah, this
Mm.
is genuinely going to change how the Latin American peoples approach finance. This is going to change the financial condition of many many Latin American people, because in some countries, in some countries like, let's say, Venezuela, where
Mm-hmm.
the inflation rate sometimes reaches 140%. Like you are
Jeez.
losing your savings every year
Right.
yeah. So imagine how difficult it is for an average worker
Exactly.
who gets a salary every month, and without doing anything, without even spending it on your food, on shelter, on clothes, you're
Mm.
just losing it, right?
Yeah.
So so
So
let
I,
me
I see how stablecoins can help them because they are holding
yeah, yeah.
like almost digital dollars.
I mean, yeah, these are essentially digital dollars. But before we go into that direction, I want to show you this chart. This
Mm-hmm.
is the stable. This is the inflation. This is actually from 2024. This is slightly outdated data, but I think it still gives us a view of what this region is going through. Like in some areas, inflation is almost like slightly under control, but in some regions like Venezuela, the
Right.
inflation rate was at
Jesus
230%.
Christ.
And then you have got like Argentina at 70%. I think like Argentina's financial situation right now is much better than what it was a year ago, because they
Mm-hmm.
elected this libertarian president Javier Milei, and he has done a fantastic job with the economy,
Yeah.
just basically by following capitalistic approaches instead of like going full on socialism stuff. But yeah, just looking at this chart, it gives you a very clear picture of why these countries are in dire need of stable coin adoption. So let's focus on like what are they doing, uh, what initiatives they are undertaking towards the stablecoin adoption in specific Latin American countries.
Mm.
Let's yeah. So I will talk about Brazil initially, because they have actually one of the best stablecoin programs so far. They are like 60% of Brazil's crypto activity is in stablecoin. So whenever a Brazilian,
Ah.
yeah, like, so 6 out of 10 Brazilians, whenever they are dealing in crypto, they're not investing, they're not speculating, they're simply trading digital dollars, because either they, most likely, they want to save in digital dollars instead of like
Mm.
inflation prone currencies, and as well as they want to accept cross border remittances. So like if you are a person in Brazil who is working, who is an individual contractor, who is a freelancer, and you want to get paid from the US, the primary obstacles that you will face is obviously the you don't get to save in the dollar. The dollar that you earn goes to the your country's reserve, and in return you
Mm.
receive your payment in the local currency. And on top of that, the transaction fees are enormous. Sometimes some
Right.
countries are
Hmm.
charging as much as like 5, 6, 7% just in transaction fees.
Yeah.
And so how do you deal with that? You use stable coins. And that's why basically 60% of Brazil's entire crypto activity is just dealing with stable coins, which is phenomenal. And then on top of that, not only the Brazilian people who are interested in stablecoin adoption, the Brazilian government has also like working on figuring out and solving these issues. So let me quickly show you a couple of things that
Hmm.
Brazil has done. One of the important infrastructure that they have laid out is their PIX system. PIX is let me yeah, let's see here. So yeah, so Pix is, like the UPI system that we have got in India,
Hmm.
which is,
Yep.
uh, yeah, it's still, it uses the traditional financial rails, but the
Hmm.
speed is obviously it's instant settlement. You can pay anytime, anywhere to any person, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's available to everyone on mobile banking apps, and the
Hmm.
cost is zero. It's zero for individuals, and for businesses there are some possible charges, and that's exactly the
I
same
see.
system that Brazil uses on their PIX system. And what's more interesting than that is Brazil is actually moving this is in a pilot program called Drex, where they are where they're experimenting with like they're trying to move this entire infrastructure on top of a blockchain, on top of an Ethereum L2. And what that means is what that means is, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, here. So what that means is like, instead of going through a centralized authority that PIX is
Hmm.
going through, you will be able to just directly access the blockchain, and you will be able to directly transact with anyone across the globe, and you get to transact and save in USD, like a United States dollar or any other currency that has a stable coin issued against it. Very interesting, but at the same time, it's also concerning because Drex is essentially a CBDC currency, not
Yeah. Can you
100.
tell me what is a CBDC?
Yeah. So basically, CBDCs are central bank digital currencies, which means they are stable coins that use a blockchain. But the problem is they are completely controlled by the government. So, like for
Hmm.
example, USDC is issued by Circle, a private company.
Ah, I
USDT
see.
is issued by Tether, a private company. But
Hmm.
a CBDC is a stable coin that is issued by the government, and that's not a good thing for a couple of reasons. Number one, like when you have cash, like just in fiat currencies, when you have cash like stacked
Hmm.
in your not even your bank account, let's say in your wallet, no one
Hmm.
can access it in any way possible. Yeah,
Right.
because like it's the outright cash that you have in your own home. And let's say
Hmm.
if when you have money in your bank account, no one can access it without a court order, without an order from some law enforcement agency or some like judicial entities in your country or in internationally, let's say. So like, but when you start using CBDCs, the problem is the government gets direct access to your wallet. That means they don't
Ah.
like something that you do, they get to instantly freeze it. You don't want, you want some privacy. You don't want to like show everywhere where you spend every single dollar that you have, every single transaction you do. You don't want the government to see it, right? Because one of the fundamental rights that we get in a democracy is privacy. But when you are using a
Yeah.
government issued financial infrastructure, you don't get any privacies. And even if like a lot of the time this argument gets used that if you are not committing a crime, then why are you afraid of the government? But
Right.
that's not the point, right? Like, I am not committing a crime, that doesn't mean that the government gets to do and say
Right.
and see everything that I am involved in. So that's the primary argument against CBDCs. And the other side of other side, or maybe the people who are extremely crypto native, who believe in ultimate decentralization, They also don't like the concept of USDC or USDT, because these stable coins are also controlled by centralized entities. They all also operate in jurisdictions where they are liable to report anything that the government wants to see, right? But the good thing about USDC or USDT or any other privately issued stablecoin is that it's a free market, right? So you get to issue it, but at the same time you have to abide by some laws. You don't get to basically, like for example, the government in most countries are essentially above the law. Uh, like outside of the United States or some first world countries,
Yeah.
most of the world is governed by corrupt politicians, or to say the least, they are like conflicted politicians. So they treat themselves essentially above the law, so you don't the like native laws, governmental laws don't apply to them. The courts can do shit to them, right?
Yeah.
But when you are a private company, you still have to abide by some laws, and laws still do protect our rights in most countries, right? So that's number one. And number two is, if you are a government and you have issued a system and that everyone has to use, you don't have any other option. You have to use the government.
Right.
You have to option the use the government verified and the government sanctioned the program that you have in your country. But if it's a private, if it's a privately issued system, that as a consumer you get to choose between different options. Like you can own USDC, you can own USDT, you can own any other types of stable coins that you have. And if you
Mhm.
don't like something, you get to change it. So you have the options, you have the flexibility. If some stablecoin issuers are doing something shady, something illegal, or something, let's say, exploitative, you get to simply say, okay, no, I'm not going to use you anymore, I'm going to use your competitors. And when they lose people, when
Ah,
that you basically change your practices, or otherwise you go bankrupt, right? So that's essentially the
makes
concept of
sense.
free market that runs capitalism, that you have options, you have to abide by certain laws, and you will have competition. And the company that offers the best services in the most reasonable prices gets to win. That's capitalism, right?
Hmm.
So that's in summary, that is the debate that we have been having between stable coins and CBDCs, privately issued stable coins and government issued stable coins.
I see.
And I, for one, firmly am on the side of stable coins. I don't want to use any sort of like CBDCs. And the scary part is pretty much every financially innovative government in the world is playing with CBDCs in one form or another. Like most people don't know, but the Indian government also has a CBDC program, like the digital
Ah.
rupee program that is going on. They haven't like rolled it out in a massive scale, but they are still working
Hmm.
on it. Like there are CBDC programs going on in Russia. There is a very advanced level of CBDC program going on in China.
I
Right,
see.
and if CBDCs proliferate and infiltrate your wallets, your financial independence is no longer secured. You are no longer just a private individual.
Right.
You automatically come under government scrutiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
They
that's
can. I'm guessing they can even track where you're sending the money and all of that.
everything. And not only that, they can freeze it. Like if they want to, they
Right.
can simply freeze your wallet, and then you no longer have access to your money. I will share a personal anecdote. This happened with me a few days ago. One of the banks that I use in India, they freezed a certain portion of my money in my bank because I sold my stable coins to an individual on Binance P2P, like on Binance. I sold it peer to peer to an individual, and that individual somehow had an investigation going on against him.
Ah.
Okay, so basically I sold it and he sent money to me in return of the stable coins that I sold him, right? So but somehow, so then they flagged my bank account and they said like I interacted with this fraudulent account, and I have obviously benefited from this guy. So
Ah.
the court essentially freezed a portion of money that I had in my bank, and they deducted it without even informing me. And and then I call up the bank and they say, okay, we have had a court order. The cybercrime investigate department in Puducherry
Ah.
is basically did an investigation, and you interacted with a certain bank account, so we get to keep your money. Even though I did not commit a single crime, I was not even aware that something like that was going on. So that's
I
the amount of.
understand your hate against CBDCs.
Yeah, and it was not like some small amount of money. It was 90,000 rupees, which is like
Right.
$250. So you can understand, like, the more access you give to this uh, governmental entities, the
Mhm.
more the bigger their whip against you becomes. So yeah. Anyways, like, without going into too much about this. So this, like, this Brazil CBDC pilot is doing pretty well. They are now in a test phase with 16 private public partnerships, like BTG, Visa, Microsoft, and they are looking into use cases to tokenize real estate, to pay invoices, and on chain interbank settlements and stuff like that. I hope that it's a good thing. It's a good development. Another one that I'm pretty interested in seeing is Circle's USDC has now integrated with Nubank. The Nubank has like
Mhm.
85 million plus users in Brazil. So that means, like, this already established retail fintech company will now be issuing, or basically will now be partnering with. Let me quickly stop the screen. Yeah, so like, this new bank, or this they will partnering with new bank that already has
Mhm.
85 million plus users. That means the Circle's USDC has now is automatically gaining access to all of these people and it will make much easier. Like, if you are a new bank user, if you are a customer of new bank, it will become much
Mhm.
more easier for you to deal with in Circle's USDC stable coins. Yeah, the you get to instantly on ramp and off ramp. You get to pay stable coins, like any other. You get to pay in stable coins. You get to send stable coins to any other new bank users, etc., etc. So these are all positive developments that is coming out of Brazil so far that I can see. One more thing that I recently saw was, this is another Latin American region, which is like the U.S. Mexico remittance market. U.S. Mexico remittance market is one of the, I think it's the second biggest remittance market, because, like,
That makes sense.
Mexicans who work in the USA, they send
Press.
money home, right? And
Mhm.
nowadays, more and more people are using stable coins to send money home.
And it's the same thing we discussed, I think, in the first few episodes. But it's like
Yes.
faster. There are no like.
Yeah,
There's
it's
pretty
much
fast. The
faster. You
transaction
don't you
fees
don't
are
pay
pretty
as
low.
much in transaction fees, exactly.
Yeah.
And Bitso controls 10% of the remittance market. The U.S. Mexico
Give me
remittance
some
market.
context about Bitso.
Yeah, so Bitso is a Latin American company. They are essentially in the fintech space, and they process the blockchain based transactions. Essentially, they have this blockchain solutions, where you can use it, like, just like Nubank, or just like any other, like Mercado Pago. These companies are the retail giants. They are the fintech giants of Latin America, and they let you. Oh, these are all centralized companies, obviously, and you get to use stable coins to issue transactions through these platforms. Like, imagine Wise. We use Wise to do cross-border settlements in fiat in India, right? No, Western Union being another one. Like, these are really old ones, and these are the new competitors that are coming out from across the globe, where you are not only settling transactions in fiat currencies, but as well as in stable coins, and the total transaction volume is going up and up. Like, for example, the US Mexico remittance market right now sits at about like 85-86 billion dollars per year. That means people from USA are sending 85 billion dollars every year to Mexico, and Bitso controls 10% of that market. That
Uh,
means, like, of that 85 billion, 8.5 billion is being paid in stable coins, and that number is only going to grow, only going to keep growing,
right.
because, again, like, it's instant settlement. The transaction fee is significantly lower,
Mm-hmm.
and the scrutiny here as well is significantly lower. So that's another super interesting development that we are seeing. And another interesting development is, like, the credit card debit card issuer Visa has been, like, they have been strongly investing in stable coins, on-chain transactions for a few years now. And right now, a significant amount of the Visa transactions in Latin America are stablecoin based. So basically, you have the Visa card in your hand, but when you are paying, you are not paying through a traditional finance structure, but you are actually doing an on-chain
Uh,
transaction. So that means again, like you can now transact in stable coins using your card. How interesting is that, right?
yeah, yeah.
All right. What else can we cover on the Latin American side? I mean, yeah. So that's pretty much everything that's happening that is interesting in Latin
Mm.
America regarding stablecoin infrastructures. And now let's move on to our next topic, next region, which is Central America. Primarily, I'm most interested in discussing like El Salvador,
Ah, right.
yeah, like crypto people love El Salvador because I think it was in 2021 that they made Bitcoin a legal tender. That means everyone can freely transact in Bitcoin, and
Legally, they can, yeah,
yeah, they can
transact
pay.
with Bitcoin.
They can buy vegetables with Bitcoin. You know, like that's just amazing. And the president of El Salvador, that guy is fantastic. Like he almost behaves like a crypto bro on Twitter. You should sometimes visit his Twitter the XX profile. Yeah. So couple of things that I want to cover is MoneyGram and Stellar has a partnership there.
Mhm.
So MoneyGram is another retail of a fintech company, and they are using Stellar to. They're using like Stellar is a blockchain, and they are using Stellar's technology to do cash off ramps. So basically, you get to sell USDC. You can sell your USDC across El Salvador and Guatemala. They have got 1,800 plus locations. That's something interesting that's happening there. And there is this in Guatemala there is this bank called Banco Industrial, and they have set up USDC corridors via Suku Pay, which is
What is Subu Pay?
again like one of the retail. These are all retail fintech companies that are allowing people to, like, obviously, like there are two ways you can deal with cryptocurrencies. One is you go completely decentralized. You use all of the like on-chain blockchain like structures.
Talk louder. I asked the question loudly.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
ask the question again.
What was that? Subu Pay, is it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What is Subu Pay?
Yeah, Sukupay is another like a retail fintech giant. I don't know if if you can quite call it a giant, but it's a quite a popular platform in Latin America. And
It's
what they are,
upcoming.
yeah, it's upcoming. You can use it right now. Okay, so
Okay.
the basically the signal that it's sending is everyone is excited about the stable coins, and there are two ways that you can access stable coins. One is you are like let's say you are a very experienced crypto native guy who knows exactly
Mhm.
how to do everything, how to buy stable coins, how to transact stable coins on chain. But the problem is not everyone is crypto native. Like the vast majority of people doesn't really know how to interact with a blockchain. So for them, these are all centralized entities that make it easier for you. Like they will handle all the blockchain related stuff, and you get to have a very simple user interface where you select the person that you are sending your money to, select how much you have, and then you probably have a wallet where you have the balance. You click and the balance is sent, and vice
And
versa.
is it isn't it similar to like CBDCs because it's you said they're like centralized?
Yeah. CBD, the like by centralized, what I mean is there is a centralized authority that is controlling the entire process. In any private company's case, the centralization happens with that company's authority. So that company is controlling the
Ah,
entire process. And in government's case, the government is the central authority. You know,
got you.
so yeah, that's the primary difference, fundamental difference between centralizations in private companies and then in government entities.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay, so what else? There is another like there is a Panama. In Panama there is a crypto bill that is currently being debated in Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a, you can say it's comparable to the Genius Act in terms of like how they view cryptocurrencies and how they view stable coins and tokenizations,
Mm-hmm.
because so far these are all in legally gray areas. Like like cryptocurrencies are in most countries, cryptocurrencies are not illegal, but at the same
Right.
time they don't have any laws, they don't have
Proper
any
loss,
regulations
right?
that clearly govern it. Yeah, so they have been trying to cover most of this stuff. They have been trying to regulate and govern most of this stuff by like traditional finance laws that they previously have. They are trying to tax it by traditional finance standards, but the
Mm-hmm.
problem is it's just such a different product, and the way you approach it technologically is so different that you need to have new laws and
Right.
regulations and new regulatory bodies. And so most countries in the world are now debating what kind of crypto regulation they want to bring in their country. Like, and how do you differentiate a speculative investment, a stablecoin purchase, and tokenization? Because when you are buying stablecoins, you are not investing. It's just a currency. It's just a parallel currency. There is no upside by having it financially, right? So yeah, so the bill in Panama, that's actually quite a, I mean, not significant in proportion in terms of global impact, but within that country, once they receive some regulatory clarity, what happens is more and more companies start
Gains
coming and
credibility, right?
admitting it, right? They start deploying capitals, and it's good for the economy, it's good for the people. So yeah, we are taking keeping an eye on Central America, but in no way is it greater than Latin America, but it's pretty interesting as to what's happening, especially with El Salvador, because El Salvador is one of the few countries that has embraced crypto, like, for the last 3 or 4 years. Like rest of the countries, they have been extremely how should I put it, like they have been extremely,
Conservative with
yeah,
crypto.
yeah, conservative. They have been extremely skeptical of how to approach crypto. They mostly Most of them just discard
Don't
it.
understand it, and they just don't even think about
Yes,
trying to
yes,
understand it.
yes. So like the famous saying, like, if you don't understand something, you fear it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how most of Europe treats it. Like China has outright banned crypto. Like it's
Is
banned
it?
outright. Yeah, you can mine it, you can use it, nothing. Uh, that's because, like, the more
And
crypto you
because
use.
their everything is so controlled by the government there, that
Yes,
crypto is
yes.
decentralized and they can't have power there. I see.
Exactly. Yes, yes, exactly. That's the point. Like the more decentralized your financial structure becomes, the more control you lose, right?
Yeah.
And China's economy is as propped up and as inflated as possible. Like there is no information that you can access that they don't want you to access. Like they can inflate anything.
Mhm.
All right, yeah. Now let's move on to Asia, and by Asia, I have divided into two categories. One is developing Asia, and then another one is like Middle East and a bit of North Africa as well. So far, in terms of what we have seen in the Asian market, it's quite impressive. One of the biggest developments in stablecoin has come from Philippines.
Ah.
So the Philippines has like 41 plus billion dollars in remittances. Like people in Philippines receive 41 plus billion dollars uh, in USDT, in United States dollar, and in other currencies. And a big chunk of that is currently being settled in USDC, USDT. And their central bank has approved the first peso stablecoin, which
Ah.
launched by CoinsPH, right? And yeah, so it's launched by CoinsPH in partnership with what's the bank name here? Let me check. Yeah, it's Banco Central Filipinas, and one
Okay.
of the primary benefits of using it is like the remittance fees has gone down to as little as 0.1% instead of
Ah,
like the
yeah.
previous three,
Okay.
four, 5%. Like so the remittance fees you are paying is significantly cheaper. All right, let me show you some data on Philippines stablecoin usage. One of the things that actually almost scare me is traditional banks in Philippines will charge you like 8 to 12% per transaction
Jesus.
on remittances. Imagine losing 10% of your paycheck
Right.
to a bank, and that's just insane. And this is exactly what the stablecoins comes in. Stablecoins come in, and it instantly removes this as an obstacle. Like they clearly show middle finger, show their middle finger to the
Right.
traditional banks and remittance services, and like you are robbing people here. Like there is no other way to say it, right? Like 8 to 12% transaction fees is
Yeah,
just simply
exactly.
crazy. And Philippines is not like other. It's not like an African third world country where there is no electricity or something like that that you can possibly justify why you have to charge so much to provide your services.
Yeah,
So
that's a
USDC
good
comes in,
point.
USDT comes in, and they say, okay, we don't need companies like you. We don't need to go through middlemen like you. We'll
Mm-hmm.
simply settle our transactions on blockchain. And since if you are using a centralized authority, then instead of charging like 6, 5, 8, 10%, we'll just charge you like 1% or even less than 1%.
Mm.
And that's exactly what happens. What's happening in Philippines now. And the more and more people start using stable coins, especially in the gig economy, like people who are
Right.
freelancers, people who are independent contractors that are working with companies established in uh, other countries. Like for remote workers, for example, Philippines is actually one of the
Yeah.
biggest growing market for remote workers in the
There is a
world.
website for specifically for Philippines, onlineph.com.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can hire like virtual assistant or even like engineers. Like I know companies
Right.
companies that I work with, they hire engineers from the Philippines and they get paid in stable coins. Like imagine not paying them in stable coins, then they lose their 10% of their
Right.
payment on just remittance fees. And then on top of that, you then once the remittance is gone, you also probably have a currency conversion for foreign exchange
Mm.
fees.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
once that is deducted, then
What
you
is
are
that?
you are left with the actual money, which is like much more susceptible to inflation than
Right.
US dollar, right? So stablecoin instantly solves this issue. uh, after Philippines, we have got Singapore. Singapore has been working on this stablecoin bill for a long time. Singapore is actually one of the hubs of crypto, not
Mm.
only in just Asia but also like across the globe.
Globally.
Singapore is one of the like major hubs in crypto, and they have been working on some regulations for some time now. A lot of companies, a lot of crypto companies actively prefer to incorporate in Singapore because their regulations are, I will say, they have the best shot at it in terms of regulations.
Why do you think that?
You know how I was telling you, like if the law that governs an industry like crypto doesn't exist, if the regulation doesn't exist,
Ah.
so are you breaking the law or are you compliant with the law? You are neither, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure, you want to build in a country where you want to be sure that the thing that you are building won't suddenly be announced as an illegal activity tomorrow.
Because they already have laws.
No, no,
Is
not not
that
not yeah, not exactly. Okay, like what you want to make sure is you want the legal clarity that the government is assuring you that we will give you every fair chance possible to build it here. And even if in the coming years we do place laws
it?
and regulate your industry, we will make sure to give you an advanced intimation, or give
Okay.
you some time to basically get compliant with the law. Like we
So
won't suddenly.
what I'm understanding is other countries have not even spoken about it, but Singapore is at least making it clear
Yes,
to
yes.
people.
Singapore has done that. Dubai has done that. So that's exactly the issue there. Like again, like create establishing these infrastructures, hiring people. These are extremely costly, right?
Mm,
And so you want to make sure that your investment is not in any kind of danger.
I see.
And Singapore has assured crypto builders, even traditional finance people, that we are looking favorably upon these new developments like stablecoins, like tokenization, like cryptocurrency in general. And we want you to come here and build, and we want you to help us create the regulation that will be best suited for the industry to
Ah,
grow.
that's
So
really
that
good.
that's yeah, that's the primary promise of Singapore. Yeah, so Singapore is one of, as I said, like Singapore is one of the major players in the crypto space,
Mm-hmm.
and they have been doing amazing stuff. over there. Outside of Singapore, we have been seeing major initiatives coming out of Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand. They are all, first of all, like they're all seeing a surge in stablecoin remittances. They're all
Mm-hmm.
are very interested in building out infrastructure and making sure that they're not missing out, because like anything that makes it easier to send money to their country, to inject more capital to their country, they have to be very interested in, right? You know, like
I
even
see.
Pakistan, like one of the most economically backward countries,
Mm.
are building proper crypto authorities to look at stable coins, to look at cryptocurrencies. And quite unfortunately, India hasn't really done anything as of now. Like
Ah,
the only thing that India keeps doing is taxing cryptocurrencies more and more. Like I think they recently levied another, like they put another tax. Like there is a 30% tax. On top of that, there is a tax
yes,
deduction
yeah.
at source, and on top of that, there are now new taxes coming out. Like instead of building proper infrastructure and proper financial incentives for people to use stable coins, we are just going backwards.
Like the government wants so much control that they're just
Yes,
trying to de-incentivize it as much as
it's
possible.
an absolute shit show. Like every single developing country are actively looking into cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
They're actively building regulatory authorities. Like they are placing people in creating new governmental agencies just to explore and see like where can we use cryptocurrencies to make stuff
Mhm.
more efficient. India has done none of it. Like this is as an Indian and as someone who is so interested in cryptocurrencies and in stable coins that I have a podcast about it. This is very
Right.
this is very demotivating stuff. Yeah. Anyways, we move on. Like if anyone from the Indian government is listening to this, like please do something. I mean, let's have a chat. Let's have a chat. Let's discuss. All right, as I was telling you about Singapore, the another Asian country, and another Asian country that is doing a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff, is the United Arab Emirates. They have not only been like active now, they have been active in crypto for a few years now. Like even back when metaverse used to be a thing, when NFTs used to be a thing, Dubai was actively Dubai was actively working on regulations to make it easier for people to access the metaverse. They created
Wow.
this virtual asset regulatory authority, or the VARA. They are also working on stablecoin frameworks now, because they want uh, stablecoin issues issued against their native currency dirham. So
Ah,
Taylor launched AEDT, which is the first dirham-backed stablecoin, and obviously, like it has done decently well given like how small the total transaction volume is. But again, like it's the initiatives that shows the country's
right.
attitude toward the assets, you know. uh, even Saudi Arabia, they are extremely interested in what's going on the tokenization side of things. So for example, Saudi Arabia launched this program that lets that they're looking, not only they are tokenizing real estate, but they're also fractionalizing it. So
Ah,
remember how we were discussing
yeah.
how like
That you get to trade ownership of a building.
yeah, exactly. You get to own constructions, like real estate properties, and you get to own as little as you want. Like you don't have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to own a percentage of a construction company or a construction project. Like for this,
Hmm.
for example, here, like you get to own a fraction of a real estate project for as little as 1 real. You know, 1 real is like how,
Ah,
what, like $10-15. That, imagine that a country like, they are so motivated and they are so interested that interested in onboarding, bringing tokenization, asset tokenization to their country and inject capital to their economy, from not only from like institutional investors but from retail investors across the globe. Because
see.
when you are when you are fractionalizing something, you are essentially making it easier for the global retail to invest in your country. Like if you list a cryptocurrency, if you list a crypto token that represents the value of your of a construction project that is taking place in Riyadh, let's say, in Jeddah, then what's happening is people across the globe can directly invest into that
Right.
specific project without any
And
without
yes, I completely missed the point that even global people globally can invest in it.
Yeah, exactly, like you and I can invest in a tokenized construction project happening in Africa or in North America.
Right.
And obviously we are yet to see what kind of regulations are imposed depending on the country that you are dealing with, but mostly if it's on blockchain, no, like as long as it's in the on a blockchain, no regulation can stop you from investing, because a blockchain cannot be regulated. You have to impose centralized authority as your middleman to regulate a blockchain. Like if you don't want to go through a centralized authority, you don't have to go through a centralized authority. That's the power of blockchain. The centralized authorities only exist because, as I was saying earlier, like most people are not crypto native, and crypto is, unfortunately, it is much more complicated than I would like it to be,
I see.
because the risk of decentralization is total autonomy. By total autonomy, I mean, let's say you have $1 million in cryptocurrencies and you have it in a decentralized wallet. That means you have a 24-digit seed phrase. And if you lose that seed phrase, you lose your $1 million
Ah,
and no one can help you. So you need to take 100% responsibility for your own assets.
I
That's why you want centralized authorities, because like most people just simply don't want that headache. Most people don't want that responsibility. You're like, if you forget a password, and we all forget password, we just want to click the forgot password thing, right?
yeah, right.
In crypto there is no forgot password. You forget your password, you're fucked.
Forget your money. Yeah.
And also, like, aside from UAE and Saudi, there is also Qatar.
Hmm.
They are actively exploring crypto frameworks. Like, they have been actively exploring crypto frameworks since 2023, and they have been looking into tokens. They have been looking into cryptocurrencies. And one thing that you have to actually keep in mind is, like, financial laws under, like, in Islamic regions are slightly different. Like, they have religious values that goes against the traditional
Taking
financial
interest,
structure
is
that
it?
we have. Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't take interest, right? They have like other stuff that restricts them from freely using financial instruments. So yeah, so aside from making it easy to access to the Middle Eastern people, they have to also make sure that this is like like Sharia compliant,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a thing in the Middle East. Like, we don't have obstacles here. So, like, they have a two layers of obstacles that they have to pass through. So, but again, like, their interest, their curiosity, and will to explore all of these things mean that
That is very validating, right?
yeah,
When
exactly.
countries like Dubai and all of that are getting excited
Yeah,
about it,
yeah.
talking
And
about
like, as I was telling you before the podcast, like, the reason they are so motivated is because they want to replace oil as their number one
it.
dependency.
Yeah.
Because, like, oil currently boosts their economy, but at some point that oil will end. Like, the oil
Hmm.
supply will shrink, and then they will have to look at something else. And you cannot build an automotive industry within 1 year. You cannot build a silly. You cannot simply, like, find lithium under your soil, or you cannot suddenly find uh, silicon under your ground. So that means you cannot create any industry within a very short period of time. That means, like, what can they do? Like, what can they take advantage of? And what do they have in abundance? What they have in abundance is liquid cash. The world buys oil from them in dollars. So they have billions and not billions, like trillions of dollars of USD dollar reserves. And what's the shortest way to deploy this capital? What's the shortest way to dominate an industry? What's the easiest industry to dominate with that amount of money that you have? And it's the financial industry.
Right.
And within the financial industry, what's the biggest innovation that is going on? It's crypto. It's blockchain. So that's why they are so interested in using blockchain technology. because like as soon as they run these trials and they figure out that this is actually feasible, they're going to dump trillions of dollars into it, and they're going to
Mm.
completely dominate this industry. And that's why they have been like poking and prodding and trying this like looking into these trials and creating these regulatory authorities, because they just want to make sure that the infrastructure is strong enough and robust enough and has enough promising potential that within the next 10 years it will completely change how they approach their economy and how they approach infrastructure, for example, right? Yeah, so like when we're discussing Middle East, I want to also discuss Iran here, because again, Iran
Mm.
is suffering from the same problem of like having oil in abundance, but no other industry, right? Iran is not interested in any industries, but they are interested in a few things. One of them being like they are severely sanctioned by the US or any other European countries because of their activities. Let's not
Right.
go into the geopolitical debates here, but let's just it suffice to say like Iran does not have a free economy, but what they do have in abundance is oil. What they do can do is convert those
Mm.
oil money into stablecoin,
Stable coins.
because they do not also have uninterrupted access to the SWIFT system that the rest of the world enjoys.
Ah,
The SWIFT banking system makes cross-border transactions much easier. Like you can send money from a bank in India to a bank in the United States using the SWIFT banking system, but Iran
makes
cannot do
sense.
that. But as soon as they convert their dollars into stable coins, then they don't need the SWIFT system anymore. You know how
Right.
you know uh, let's also look into the Eastern European giant, that's Russia. Like
Mm.
Russia also has very similar, and even in some cases much more severe sanctions imposed on them by European countries, by USA, because of the war with
Right.
Ukraine.
War.
uh, but is it stopping them? Is it stopping them from transacting? Is it stopping their economy from growing? No, because obviously they are traded, they have multiple active trading partners, but at the same time they're looking into like how do we stop being USD reliant. And one way to stop being USD reliant, or being, let's say, letting the US directly hamper or interrupt their financial infrastructure, is by opting out of the SWIFT system and
Mm.
opting in for the stablecoin chain,
Stable coin.
stable coins, right? And is starting using everything blockchain. And so much so they have been working on this CBDC, like the digital ruble. So they no longer like the digital ruble so far has been like, let's say, sort of successful. They have run a few successful trials, and digital ruble is acceptable in some stores in Russia. So we'll just only keep seeing these countries get more and more into like on-chain transaction stuff. Like, so what are like if we look into it, like what are the primary issues that are driving more and more countries using stablecoins? Inflation being one, like inefficient banking infrastructure being another one, transaction fees, foreign
Or
exchange
remittances,
fees,
yeah.
another one. And then another one is like sanctions, like countries like Russia, Iran,
Russia.
North Korea, or any other aggressive and the governmental entities that, let's say, that somehow has pissed off the rest of the world, and
Mm.
they cannot seamlessly use the global financial infrastructure and the payment rails that we have currently in place. What they will simply do is they will move on chain. They will start using USDT, USDC, or even if, let's say, the US government tells Circle to freeze some countries' USDC
Right.
balance, they
That's
have other options. They
possible.
can simply go move on to using decentralized stable coins like DAI, uh, or even just issue their own CBDCs. Like, what stablecoin does is gives you so many options and such flexibility that you are no longer restricted by traditional financial either regulators or inefficient systems. And that's so interesting to me, because I mean, obviously, do I want countries to continue attacking other countries? Do I want people to commit crime? No, but at the same time, I cannot stop them.
You can see the use case, right?
Yes. So this is just so goddamn obvious, you know.
Yeah, it's the same thing we talked about in the last episode. Like every episode that we have, I just feel okay, it gets more and more obvious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I love about stablecoins. And this episode is primarily focused on stablecoins, but like stablecoin is just only one arm of the entire tokenization industry, right? Currently, the biggest arm, because to tokenize something, to transact with something that is tokenized, you need to have stablecoins. So stablecoins will be the biggest industry. I'm sorry, like biggest arm of the tokenization industry. But then again, it will also enable other stuff like on-chain treasuries, like on-chain private credit, like on-chain stocks. The industry will just simply grow and grow and grow. um, yeah, so I was looking into this de-dollarization narrative that has been like, I mean, it's just a narrative, right? That the dominance of the United States
Dollar.
dollar will fall, like other countries, other associations of countries, like there's BRICS. Like BRICS has been in talk of launching their own currency forever, but stablecoin ironically has made and positioned the United States dollar in a much better like they are simply in a much better position than they were ever before, because like the 95% or even like currently 99% of the entire stablecoin market is the United States dollar, right? And I don't see them losing ground to euro or to ruble or to any other regional currencies in the next 5 to 10 years. So like US dollar is going to benefit the most from all of this stablecoin development. So now, not only not only are we like far away from de-dollarization, but we are strengthening the dollar more and more, and
Right.
giving the dollar more and more power. Yeah. So we will see how that looks. Like what used to, like so far, the dollar has been powered by oil trades. Like anywhere on earth, you have to buy dollars using USDs. And the second thing that has empowered the United States dollar so much is the US military. Like they have the most amount of nukes, and they have the strongest military on earth. So their dominance is unquestionable. And now the third thing that's going to embolden the US dollars even more is going to be the rise of stable coins and tokenization. The United States market is going to be much more accessible to the retail investors into the globe, and everyone is going to now invest. Like everyone is going to now invest in the New York Stock Exchange, in the Nasdaq,
Mm.
in US Treasuries, US bonds, and stuff like
It's
that.
again the same thing we discussed in the tokenization episode, is it?
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what this is.
Uh,
All right, I think so. That's enough for one day. We have covered enough of
it
topics.
was a deep
Uh,
episode, very
yeah,
dense.
yeah, it has been extremely dense episodes. Yeah, so let's even much deeper into some specific topics in the next episodes, and see how like awesome this
Yeah.
development is going to be. All right, so until now, ciao. We'll
Ciao.
chat. Yeah, we'll speak to you again tomorrow. Again next week. Bye bye.